Something big is coming to the hobby and I'm excited. However, we actually don't know what it is, and this video we're going to be wildly speculating about what it actually is. So Games Workshop have published this today and it says the next evolution of Citadel colour paint is coming. And there's some important things I want to talk about. Down here in the Warhammer bunker, we've been seeing a lot of people scurrying around in white coats clutching mysterious beacons in many mysterious shoes. That can only mean one thing: the Citadel Colour Labs have made another breakthrough. I'll show you this trailer in a minute, but the important thing here, the last time we saw this much excitement at the paint labs, we ended up with the spectacular Citadel contrast paint range, and what a revolution that was. I agree with them, what a revolution that was. And I have to say, I really enjoy contrast range, speed paints, that kind of thing, anything to just reduce my hobby time. So what could this be? Well, let's rule out some things first. One thing it's very unlikely to be is pre-painted miniatures. If you're excited for that, you're probably way too early in life. I don't think Games Workshop are planning that just yet. And that's because it says to prepare your brushes. Don't think they'd be asking you to prepare your brushes if it was pre-painted, because, well, you wouldn't need your brushes. Which then means in turn it's unlikely to be like a new airbrush, because again, you wouldn't be preparing your brush, you'd be preparing your wallet to buy a new one. And I think ultimately it's unlikely to be the, well, I was going to say a new pot or a return to the old pots or dropper bottles or what have you, because even though that would actually be something that goes on your brush, it sounds like it's definitely a new paint. In the same way, I also think it's unlikely that it would be a wet palette, but who knows. So that does beg the question, what could it be? Now obviously we could wait till to July to find out, but let's just wildly speculate. One thing that it could be, but I'm not 100% sure it would even work, and I've seen a couple of people mention it already, is maybe to have a metallic contrast paint. I mean, it would be new, but well, I don't think I've seen it before, but maybe it is going to be a thing, because normally metallic paints, if you don't know, they literally have like little bits of metal in them. I'm simplifying, I don't know the exact like chemical makeup of them, and that sort of gives it its shine. Maybe they found a way of doing that with contrast paint, maybe, who knows? If they have, would I use them? Yes, I would. So that's one thing it could be. Another thing it could be is they could be borrowing from other companies, in that they could be doing like color shift, something like that, where it's sort of like two tones and it depends on which way you look at it and it's all shiny and stuff like that. They do talk about many different hues, so that's a possibility. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily rule it in or out. As I said, we are speculating. I don't necessarily have an opinion on which one it is. If I was going to guess, I would guess maybe contrast metallics, but it might not be. Color shift paint, it wouldn't necessarily go with the trailer, because the trailer is sort of showing like single colors, and I don't know if they would mislead in a way, so a bit of me thinks it's going to be just solid colors. Hopefully they're not rebranding everything and we're not going to get new names for everything, but ultimately I think that might be the case. One thing it could be is like pigments or weathering powders or something like that, which I believe Games Workshop may have done in the past, but I personally don't have a recollection of them. Or maybe indeed they're going to go with like inks, classic inks instead of paints. That is definitely a possibility. Now the last thing that I think it could be, now you guys, you'll have your opinions, do let me know in the comments below of course, but the last thing I think it could be is that it could be pre-thinned paints. Weirdly, I was just thinking about this yesterday. I think when I was trying to paint some Shore Troopers, I was like, oh, I wish I didn't have to bother thinning my paints, because I just want to do a little bit here. I don't want to get a wet palette out. I don't want to get a palette out. I just want to go straight at the bottle and just do this a little bit. But I was like, oh, well, I really need to thin the paint, otherwise it's going to be too thick. Maybe they've got a way of having pre-thinned paint, so it's literally the exact right consistency. You're not necessarily going to want to water it down unless you want a specific effect. But maybe it will just be the right consistency to get a good covering. Not contrast-wise, as in like contrast where it's like dark in the recesses and stuff like that. Maybe this is just like proper plain colours. Now, a lot of people might be like, oh, I'd be against that because maybe the amount of paint you would actually get would be less. But I sort of think it would make sense for people like me. I just want to like get it in the bottle or something. Just if I'm doing something quickly, get it in the bottle and whack it on, you know, I'm not doing anything fancy. So it definitely could be that, but as ever, it might not be that. We literally don't know. It is coming out in July, or we're going to get maybe it's not coming out in July. We're going to get a reveal in July. And if it's anything like the contrast paint, you will see a massive marketing hype from GW. You'll see probably the creator painters going to Warhammer World and painting all the stuff with this new stuff. You'll see it at conventions and stuff like that. You'll see it basically before you get your hands on it. But what we're actually going to see, well, that's anybody's guess right now. Please do wildly speculate in the comments below. This is a video of an announcement, which is probably weird, but I wanted to talk about it because it gets me a little bit excited. Let me know your thoughts. Have a most beautiful day. Goodbye.